Hello and welcome to Form and Function. This is a new series that I will be starting on this channel, and we will talk about the tools that I have, why I chose them, what the use case was for them, what works about this system, what doesn't work about this system, and all those things in between. I'll put links to all the things that I have in the description, as well as fun other things that come along with that. So on this episode today, we have the Pinecil. This is what came to be a couple years ago the most popular little soldering iron, that is actually now part of this really expansive new 3D printed open source system that's coming out called Solder. I'll put a link in the description of that as well. And this is kind of the meat and potatoes behind it, right? This small device was perfect for me because I was looking for a soldering iron. And when I was looking at the time, I kept seeing all of these big ones that were huge, gargantuan, and kind of took up too much space. So I really wanted to get into it, but I wanted to kind of start soldering little stuff here and there without having to have this huge, setup. So this whole setup is, I bought this all from Pinecil. This is their Pine Power desktop power supply. You can use this with a battery. This works pretty well because it has the actual ports in here, so you can see the voltage and power delivery, so you can charge devices as well. So this is great, and I got it at a time when I was kind of bedridden from an injury. But this has been great to me in terms of soldering and other things like that, because it's all in one, so you could power multiple Pinecils from this. The nice thing about this, and this is 3D printed case, is that it comes with, you can buy a bunch of tips. So I think I ended up buying the double set. This was all like $100 and some at the time, I think, when I bought it, for the power supply and all of this. And you just plug this right into the back of this Pinecil. You come in here, you can plug this right in, power. And these are, I misspoke earlier, these are actually for charging devices. So now you have a full system, and I think we have to put in a tip for me to turn it all the way on, but it's got some cool safety features as well. Well, have power, that's right. So once you plug that in, this little screen comes on, little OLED screen, I believe, and it actually shows you and ramps up really quickly. This is one of the fastest soldering irons I've seen. I haven't used a bunch of them admittedly, but it has been nice. Now, the pros about this system. The pros about this system are, fundamentally, this is a very portable setup. It is great if you are trying to do things like quickly get in and out. You just need to take it somewhere. They even have a setup where you can kind of have it powered via an external, portable little battery pack. I have this, but it makes it really handy to take around and take your soldering iron to the project, as opposed to what usually happens, which is taking the project to the soldering iron. This is great for a lot of reasons. There's a bunch of tips. It's super easy, super interchangeable. You can see it just clips in and out. I have a little bit of mess left on here from the last time I used this. But it's great. And because of that, these tips change so easily. It makes it super easy and simple to go through and fundamentally do whatever you need to do without doing anything. I think you can even screw this down a little bit more. And when you do that, it kind of locks it into place if you just want to make sure, you don't have the tip flying around. But it's pretty sturdy overall. I wouldn't recommend doing this like this if you were actually fundamentally kind of trying to do something fun, or work on a really tedious project. Now, there are some downsides to this. To really use this system, because it is so modular, you kind of have to have a separate space and setup to kind of use this in a traditional format where you want it to hold something. So they have the little clamps that hold the piece steady while you solder it. And so that is one part of it. The other part of it is, I think this is probably a wish list item if it had its own power supply that was part of it, and then That doesn't mean that it can be fully wireless, or cordless, or easy to plug into stuff. So it's a downside, but it also is just one of those things that will make it super easy and great. They do have soldering irons that have their own little gas things they come with. So they actually sit there and they will go through and fundamentally just heat it up. You can find them at Home Depot. I forgot who makes them, but those are pretty cool too. There's a lot of versatility in this system. The other part is there is really no case for this. So everything that I found, because it's open source, which is great, is 3D printable. But if you weren't getting into this and you just wanted, all-in-one solution where you could just grab it and go, that doesn't exist yet. But that is what Solder is working on, because this is it kind of does lend itself to being a hodgepodge solution. With most soldering irons, you get a full solution that has everything attached. So this will be attached directly to, here, and then this will always be attached there, and then we have this little stand that's stuck up and everything else. There are some other accessories I have for it as well. But again, if you're trying to use this as a stationary setup, it's probably not the best, in my opinion, because there are other things that come across that are easier to use, I should say, and do have full setups with the whole little thing to like clean the tips and all of that jazz. So it makes it really nice. The beautiful part about this is it is open source. It does make it really easy to get into this. These were all 3D printable files for some filament I had from a while ago, and you can kind of see this all kind of goes together in here really nice like. And this is for when you're using it and you got it set up and you got a tip on it. So there are lots of ways you can actually use this fundamentally to be a full setup. So I do like the modularity of it. I do wish that there were other options, and I think I'm going to get my wish with solder, which is wonderful, because I think that that's part of the fun part of having these solutions that keep coming out. I was kind of anti getting into a system that you fundamentally always have to buy into. You have warranties, you have all these other things, and that's all fine and good, but it doesn't allow you as much customizability and personalization. There's also a clear case for this that I have. Let me see. So yes, there's a clear case that I have that I can swap this out for, and kind of so you can see all the components. So there's things like this too that are being created by, the community and the company itself to make it more customizable, which is fun. And they also do have a power system. I think at least they used to, when I bought this a couple years ago now, that actually has the ability to, be powered, like I said, externally. Not externally, but have one that kind of goes along with it. It's more of a little battery that sits inside of it, so you can have it fully wireless without any cords, which is really cool. So I'm happy to recommend this. I know it's not the hottest soldering iron. Cannot get my words straight. It's not the hottest one, but it is really great, and I'm really excited about the new system that Solder is coming out with, Solder Pro, I think, and I'll put a link again in the description, that really showcases what this is and the power of having something all in one place where you can take it to the project. I think that was my biggest requirement for this, and the thing that I like most about this is you can kind of take this to the project. You still have to have power over here or from a power bank or something like that, but it does make it a lot easier than bringing it to a traditional mat and having that whole setup to solder. So that is my overall review, I guess, of this Pinecil, and it's pretty awesome. And I found out about it via YouTube. I know plenty of people have done reviews on this before, but that's what we have. So thank you for your time. Please subscribe, and we'll be back with another episode next week. Thanks, everyone.